Hey folks, it's Bernie Love and I'm back with another review. This one is probably on a show you may not have heard of, or maybe some of you have. It's called In a Man's World. If you watch any Bravo series, then you would know, or you'd be familiar with the advertisements for it and everything. I was watching Married to Medicine. That's actually one of my favorite shows. One of my favorite reality shows right now. And I saw during the commercial break, I saw the advertisements for this show, and I said, "Oh, let me do a little research." And I checked it out, and it looks like it's going to be a really good thing, a really good show. Only thing about this is that I was looking at the lineup on Xfinity Comcast, and it looks like there's only going to be 3 episodes for this season, unless they decide to add more. I don't know. I think they're just trying to get their feet wet as far as this series, trying to just play around with it, try it out to see if it will work out. But I watched it. I watched the first episode. It was very, very good. It's about a young lady. Well, each episode is going to be a different young lady, because they've showed advertisements for this week's episode, which let me just say, I am late with doing this review. I do apologize for anybody that watches this show, which I don't think very many people do. But just in case you do, I am late. This episode, the first episode came on last Tuesday, which is why I'm trying to hurry up and get this review out, because a new episode is coming on tonight. So I want to get last week's out the way so that I can go ahead and review tonight. So it comes on Bravo. I believe 9, either 8 or 9. I think it was, because I caught the show on demand, so I didn't actually catch it on, when it actually aired. So I do believe it's either 8 or 9 on Bravo every Tuesday night. In a Man's World, we start off with the first episode. Young lady named Emily. She's a professional pool player. She was being interviewed, and the interviewer, that's how they started, everything. Interviewer, she was sitting talking to her, and she was going undercover. She decided to go undercover as a man. So basically, she was going to be made up. She was going to get with a dream team that was going to actually make her up, take like a plaster cast of her face and her overall frame, and just take that and restructure it into how she would look as a man. And that's, she decided to do that and go undercover and go around a bunch of guys that wouldn't have known that she was really a woman pretending to be a man, to see how much respect that she would get as a man opposed to as a woman. So the interviewer asks, when was the moment that you knew you wanted to do this? So she says, Emily says, I was playing in the U.S. Open in Vegas with the top male pros in America, playing pool. She's a professional pool player. She says she was winning, literally crushing this guy in the game, and he began to get very angry. So he was getting pissed off at the fact that he was getting beat by a woman. She makes a really amazing shot, and he starts laughing, kind of like condescending and like, oh my gosh, She said it was a very condescending, rude thing that he did. And she knew he'd never had that attitude if she was a male player, which is believable. I think so. I think, even with us getting ready to go into 2020, with times, the fact that times have changed and times have progressed, I think that even still, you have guys that just don't see us as equal, and I'm really not trying to turn this into a battle of the sexes type of a video. I'm giving, that's just what I do. When I review these shows, I talk about what actually happened on the show, but then I also give my commentary as far as like what I think about the episode and my opinion of how they behaved and what's going on. I do have my opinion as far as, the male versus women, but I don't want to turn this into a battle of the sexes type thing where, she's trying to act like, men are, bashing men. It's not even that. It's just, going by what, what the show entailed and, reviewing it and just, giving my feedback. So anyway, she's explaining to the interviewer how she got to the point of wanting to do this as far as going undercover as a man, what inspired her. So she's telling her about when she was playing at this, this tournament, and she makes this really good shot, and the guy that she's playing against, has a really nasty attitude and upset because she's beating him at the game, and she makes a really good shot. And she said, I know that, if I was a guy, he wouldn't act like this. She asks him what's so funny. He said, I will never get beat by a girl. She thought then, what do I need to do to be treated like an equal? She tried everything, but nothing worked. So she decided to do something dramatic, and that is go undercover as a man. So all of this when she's, sitting talking to the interviewer. Next scene, she tells a little about her background. So she gets into, how she grew up and how she even got into, to the point of where she wanted to become a pool player. Her dad got her into playing pool as a little girl. As she got older, she ranked number 9 in some professional pool playing association. She has sponsors, and she represents the U.S. in world championships overseas. So if that's the case, then she's really good. She's really, really good. But even with her being good and her earning that respect as far as being able to represent the U.S. overseas, she's still not getting that respect from male players. They just don't want to see her as somebody that is that good at the game. They want to be better. Well, according to her. Well, at least, when I watched this episode, that's what I saw. When she was playing against certain guys, I don't know whether or not that was scripted in or what it could have been. It could have been scripted. But for the most part, she basically, she was up against a guy that just basically just threw out all types of sexist remarks and was more focused on her body opposed to her skill in the game. And there was a scene where she was sitting talking to the interviewer again. And the interviewer says, well, some people think you asked for it because of how you dressed. I don't know. I guess you could say that. I mean, people have the right to dress whatever they want. But if you dress provocatively and you're showing body parts, or you're putting emphasis on body parts, then you're going to get certain type of attention. I don't let that stuff bother me. I'm almost 40 years old. I've gotten to the point of, you're just going to get certain remarks on certain body parts. Some guys are just that way. They can't help it. But you just have to, even if you do dress appropriate, sometimes you have certain body parts that you can't really contain. Certain parts that are bigger than others, that are more jiggly than others. Even if you dress from head to toe, if you jiggle, you jiggle. So guys are gonna say things regardless of how you dress. Not all guys, some guys. So I don't really think you can. I don't really think you can get around that 100%. But if you are openly and willingly putting more emphasis on certain body parts, then yes, you're gonna get those type of remarks from those type of guys. So, she says her dad got her into playing pool. That's how she got started. Female pool players do not get paid as much as male players, and there are more events for men. So she spoke on that as well. And they showed a scene where, there was a couple of tournaments, and most of the players were guys. I think there might have been 1 or 2 girls in the game. And they just did that, I guess, just so that they wouldn't hear any shit from women. But, most of the tournaments are for men. And she spoke on that as well. She says it's not fair. It's like, why can't we? I mean, she makes money doing it, but the men actually make more money. It's more like it's a male-dominated thing. Like, I don't know. She talks about how her looks have contributed to getting sponsors. So yeah, she uses that sex appeal in order to get sponsors. Um, I mean, I guess she's got that attitude of you use what you got to get what you want. I guess it works for her. I can't knock her, but maybe that's part of how she got to where she is. I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to make it seem like I'm throwing shade or anything like that. But just going by what I saw on the show and the notes that I've taken. You know what I'm saying? But she says she also encounters a lot of harassment. Well, if you're using what you got to get what you want, you're gonna encounter harassment. Yeah, that happens. People cursing her out, people physically touching her, even smacking her ass. If you dress in tight shit, you in this type of industry where there's probably a lot of guys, yeah, you most likely are gonna get your ass smacked on. They're gonna make probably comments about your tits and everything like that. I mean, those types of things happen. She said she was getting random comments online as far as like whatever they got going on, websites and social sites for pool players. You know, they actually showed some of the comments. One guy, but this guy she actually beat. She beat him at a game, and she and he comments online and talks about how not pretty she is. I think that's bullshit. I think she's not a bad looking girl. Not to me. I mean, I know beauty's in the eye of the beholder. I didn't think she was ugly. Nice looking white girl. She's not bad looking. I think maybe he just said that because he got beat. You know how some guys are. They can't take, getting demolished by a girl in anything. They don't like rejection and they don't like to be beat out by a woman. So that's probably why he says she wasn't all that pretty. She admits that sometimes online the comments bother her. I mean, sometimes they do. Sometimes online shit can get to you, especially if it's consistent negativity. It'll fuck with you. You're only human. So she's doing a social experiment to go undercover. She's playing 2 games to do this experiment. First game she's gonna play as herself, and without the makeup and costume and all that as a man, just to put out there and show how she's treated as a woman playing pool, and then she's going to go undercover and come back and play as a man. Okay. Next scene, she meets up with her girlfriends at a restaurant, and they discussed how they are discriminated against these guys, and she tells them about her project and what she's going to do. And then she talks about this really big pool player in New York City. His name is Finnegan. He gets all of this respect. Everybody loves him. He's one of the top players. Finnegan is known as the godfather of pool in New York City and is very good at his game. Even though she's been around in the industry for 12 years and earned her respect and is top ranked pro now, he refuses to take her seriously. Well, that's just how a lot of guys look at us. Not all guys, but a lot of guys. They don't want to take us seriously regardless of what respect we've earned or how we've climbed up the ladder. It's, some guys are just sexist like that. They don't take women serious. They feel as though we belong in the kitchen, we need to be cooking and, barefoot and pregnant and not working. And, that's just how a lot of guys are. So she leaves for LA to transform into a man with excessive makeup. This particular scene, she didn't actually transform, but they did they did the plaster cast. They wanted to get, structure of her frame so that they knew what to do with that and how to go forward with making her look like a man with the, based off of her looks. She meets up with awesome people, Lou and Dave, to make this temporary transformation. So they start taking measurements, plaster cast, mold making. She said it was a lot for her to endure, but she just felt like she had to go through it. It was quite an it was something, because she couldn't even breathe. They showed where she could barely breathe. They had all this mold and stuff all over her face, and she couldn't breathe for maybe a good few minutes. Well, she was holding her breath, but they weren't gonna kill her. Just enough to get some, an idea of how to do this. So next scene, she's on the phone with her mother, and her mother's wishing her well, glad that she's doing something so great. to prove a point. Next scene, she meets up with Finnegan as herself, and she plays against him, and they showed exactly how he talks to her when she is playing pool as a woman. And then they put the camera on him. He says that women are not invited to weekly games, and they made a bet. If she won this game, then she'd be invited. So they play, and he's being very insulting, making all kinds of sexist remarks. He was talking about the shape of her ass, and talking about how she need to be in the kitchen making a sandwich and all this kind of stuff. So next scene, she goes back to LA, and they actually make her up as a man. Then she goes back to New York, and she comes in as a new male player. She plays the game against Finnegan, which she actually lost. And then afterwards, after the game was over, she takes everything off. Well, she takes her face part off, the mold, all that type of stuff. She takes that off, and they film her taking it off, showing that that's her taking off her mask as man. And then she goes back to where he's at in that room. They've got this big television screen up, and they show the filming of her actually taking off her mask. And they're looking, and they're like, "Whoa! We didn't know that was you." So she explains everything. She says, "Well, we want mutual respect. We women want to be, treated the same way." Even though she lost the game when she played as a man, and one of the pool players mentioned that, he's like, "Well, you lost." She said, "Well, it's not about us losing." She said, "It's about just getting equal respect as women. The same way that you respect men, respect us too." She said, "You didn't even know I was a woman. You thought I was a man." And he says, "I feel that." And Finnegan, believe it or not, he actually apologized. He apologized to her and told her he was wrong. "I'm sorry, now I get it." He said, "You had to go through such drastic measures to show me that this is what it takes to be respected in this industry." And he came around, and he came too. And I think that was a really good episode. I don't know how far this series is going to go, but I enjoyed it. I thought it was really nice, and this is why I felt the need to review it. Sometimes when you review stuff, you could be reviewing a show that nobody ever even heard of. They never heard of the show, and it could get a review, just a simple review, a review suggestion on YouTube, could get that person interested in watching just from your review. It could be something they, might have missed or skipped over on TV and didn't even know that there was a new series on. Believe it or not, even with the way I review shows, and I'm still, kind of new to it, but still, even with being new to it, there's still some shows on TV that I don't know shit about. You know what I mean? And I'm always, what's the next show? What's the next series coming out? So I can, see if I like it. I want to see if it's good enough to review. There's several. I want to say something else also too about how there's several shows that I said I was going to review and I did not. I reviewed, and I'm going to tell you why. I reviewed Smothered, the first episode of Smothered. And after watching that show, as the season progressed, I chose not to. I chose to leave it alone because I thought that show was a hot mess. It was just, the way that the mothers were manipulating their daughters. And then it didn't even last that long. I think the season only had like 6 or 7 episodes. So I was like, I'll leave it alone. Growing Up Hip Hop, I said I was going to review that. Growing Up Hip Hop New York this season. I think it's a pretty good season, but I don't know. It's a little too dramatic for me. The We channel is I don't know. It's almost like it's starting to turn into VH1. Fights, and I just I don't know. I had to see if they do another season. Maybe. If they've got more episodes, maybe. And I know that this show that I'm reviewing now, In a Man's World, it's not very many episodes, but it's brand new. And it wasn't negative. No fights, nothing like that. So I said, all right, I'm going to go ahead and review it. But yeah, The Family Chantal, I was going to review that one and chose not to do it. And I talked about how I was going to review it, but I chose not to do it. I changed my mind because that show... a little too much drama. Chantal's Family, if you watch that show on TLC, You know, they seem like they okay, but there's a little too much drama. The fights, you know, it's just too much drama. I think they only had one fight, but that was just enough drama for me. But all right, that's it, y'all. I'm gone. Thank you for watching. Check out the show. It comes on Tuesday nights. I can't say exactly what time because I just watched it on demand. Well, one time I watched it on demand after it already aired, but I believe it's either 8 or 9 o'clock. Tuesday nights, Bravo. And yeah, I gotta go because I got to do the Married to Medicine review that I have not done yet. Married to Medicine came on Sunday, and I went grocery shopping. I'm usually home for that, you know, because I know exactly when that comes on. That's my favorite show. That's my shit. Sunday nights. 8 o'clock on Bravo. Yeah, I'm up on that, but you know, I guess I was out a little too long Sunday, but I was able to catch it on demand, and I'm about to do that review. Follow me, you guys. I'm on everything: Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat. Bonnie Love 29, Niecy Johnson. I'll have all that stuff in the description box as to where you can find me on the net. Niecy Johnson on Facebook. Look down below, and also the ending of this video will have where you can find me on other social media platforms. Peace.